So, hello and welcome to another episode of the Turn 5 podcast. Apologies for the lack of episode last week. OBS and Windows had done an update which meant that Discord had disconnected from the audio capture. So, it was just going to be 1/3 of a conversation and it was very bad. So, I decided to just scrap it. That being said, we went over all our predictions. We wrote them down so that we all knew what was going on. But this week we will go over those results, over those predictions and the race, as well as briefly covering the Formula 2 and Formula 3 action. Because I was sad enough to stay awake and watch it all, because night shift worker, it just fit with my timetable. It just worked for me this weekend. So, I think Japan's going to be another good one for me.
Well, I could have watched maybe, the Friday evening and Saturday morning. So I'm guessing it would have been F3 race, maybe.
Saturday morning. So that'd be sprint races.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could have watched them, but I watched Roadhouse instead. That was just there.
Fair. No, I watched. I went out Saturday evening and watched the Formula 3 from the pub. then went home and watched the Formula 2. And then stayed up and watched the Formula 1. So, yeah, no, that was good. Right. I mean, let's talk about the obvious starting point here. Lap 3. Max starts reporting it. Well, lap 3, Max goes deep into a corner, which is unusual, and gives Carlos Sainz the run on him. Then, what was it, lap 5? He pulls into the pits because his rear brakes just on fire.
Yeah.
It was... No, because he definitely went past the pits once after being taken past by Sainz.
Oh, yeah, because you're like, oh, he's just going to get back past now, isn't he?
Yeah, you're thinking down the home straight or into turn 3, he's just going to DRS it, and he didn't.
Yeah.
And that's when you're like, what's going on? Because we know that Red Bull's a rocket ship with its DRS open. It's a rocket ship enough as it is, but with the DRS open, it takes it to another level. But when he didn't get past, you're thinking something's wrong here. And then you start seeing the light plumes of smoke coming out the back of the car, and the commentators are arguing over whether it's the engine or not. And Brundle correctly said, no, that's not central enough to be the engine. Which is a fair cop. Like, from the head-on shot, from some of the angles, it just looks like it's coming out the back of the car. You can't really tell. But then we got a shot from the rear, and it was quite clearly coming out of the right rear tyre area. Did we ever get... It was binding, wasn't it? That was the issue. It was just, like, stuck on.
No idea. I know that it caused a fire.
Because Esteban came in... Esteban came in, halfway through the lap, and they found a tear-off in his duct, which was causing it to, almost set on fire. So, but, no. Max's went boom. It was quite a spectacular shot that they managed to get of him coming into the pit lane.
Yeah.
And he'd left some debris on the exit of the penultimate corner, the sort of the tight hairpin. But they just left it there because it wasn't on the racing line, which is fair enough. Why stop the race if it's not in the way, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was...
Especially George Russell. He wasn't in the way at all.
No, definitely not. It was the last lap, so I can kind of understand it in that respect. Because, red flagging it is... There's all sorts of, then procedures that have to do, and you have to then finish the race and whatnot. And everything has to get rewound a lap, and... I think the VSC was probably just... Let's just get it over with, you know? The race is done, so just finish the race. We can then deal with the car and George once the race is done. So I can kind of understand it from that respect, but yes, he was sort of in the middle of the track. So that would need to be triple waved yellows. I know we only go up to doubles, but Yeah, I think everyone needed to be on top of their game in terms of George is in the middle of the road, avoid it, sort of notices. Um, you can understand it from George's side, like you're in the middle of the track, half upside down, you want a red flag. But I think from the bigger picture, I think a VSC is probably just the best call for the event overall, because the red flag would have just delayed everything. Then you have to go out for that boring processional lap, because the lap to the grid would have then just been the lap. That's the problem with it.
Yeah.
Last year we had the red flag 2 laps before the end, which is why we got the 1 lap shootout, because the lap to the grid was 1 lap, and then we had that last lap behind the safety car. So yeah, I think it was a fair decision. I know a lot of people don't agree with it, but I think from an overall picture, it was probably the right call.
Yeah.
What else did we have happen? Perez made his way through the midfield cars with great ease and made it past Alonso. And then just sort of didn't make any impact on the front runners. So
great drive.
Yeah, another Perez classic.
It's just when Red Bull needed him as well.
Yeah, exactly. This kind of performance highlights the weakness within Red Bull of they don't have a good number 2 driver. They just have a second driver.
And now Ferrari are only 4 points behind them.
And that's the issue, because Ferrari have 2 good drivers. And one of them is making a hell of a name for himself in terms of, I don't have a seat. Would you like me?
Fuck you.
Like just under 2 weeks from his appendectomy.
What happens if he but everyone knows it's probably not going to happen. But what if he does just go on and win the championship?
That would be amazing banter.
Just as a Nigel Mansell. Yep, that's me.
You got rid of me.
Nico
Nice.
Rosberg.
Yeah, it'll be an incredible story if he does win the championship, from losing his drive to winning it all.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, if Max had been in the race, he probably would have finished at the very least 2nd place.
Yeah.
Which meant the gap would be nowhere near as close as it is.
But Carlos is still.
Well, yeah, Carlos is averaging 20 points a race he's been in. That's
nice.
It's a good haul. Times that by 24. You're looking at 480 points. That's on most years. That's enough to win the championship.
I think it should be all right if he carries on.
Yeah. Obviously, I don't think he's actually going to end up with that many points, because I think Charles will have days where he beats him, and I think Carlos will inevitably end up getting shafted by a Ferrari strategy or something going wrong. There's so many variables in Formula 1 that you can't really make a prediction like that at this point. Like, just one inclement bit of weather, and that can ruin someone's race. So...
flashbacks.
Yeah. I was not going to say it, but that is exactly where it was. What else did we have? Oh, we had an issue with the Kick Saubers with their poorly manufactured / designed wheel nuts that were all cross-threaded. So they went out into the pit lane with 7 of them. And then ended up getting, I think, did they get a penalty in the end? There was an investigation because one of the wheel nuts went flying across the pit lane and someone had to go and retrieve it. I didn't see the final decision on that, but I can't remember if someone got a time penalty or not. Speaking of penalties, should we deal with the big one?
Yeah.
The thing that caused George Russell's crash, quote unquote, was Fernando Alonso slowing down before turn 6 in his words, in order to take a different approach to it to get a better exit, which you can understand given the fact that he knows George is behind and George will have DRS. So he'll want a better exit off that corner given the long run down. Totally understandable reason. I think he just fucked it. Because he braked too soon and too much, and then he re-accelerated again. If he'd done it, say, 50 meters later and done it in one smooth motion, I don't think anyone would be talking about this, and there would have been no penalty from it. But it's because he's slowed, re-accelerated, and slowed again that he got the penalty.
Yeah.
I read the steward's document on it, and it said, does the driver have the right to take a different approach to a corner? Yes. Is the driver responsible for the dirty air behind him? No. But was he driving in an erratic manner? Yes. That's what they got him on the penalty.
Yeah.
So they said they don't take into consideration the fact that George crashed behind him into account. I mean, it kind of does, but like at the same
20 seconds though.
20 seconds. It's because they increased the baseline penalty.
If George doesn't crash,
is he going to get the penalty? I don't think he does. But
no.
But I still think if he braked 50 meters later and did it in one go, nobody would be talking about it.
Yeah, I don't...
Or at least there would have been a conversation, but the stewards would have seen all the telemetry and gone, he's just taken a different approach. George has just fucked it.
Yeah, he's just trying to back George up to then
get a better exit. He's
sort of like a safety car restart.
Yeah, exactly.
In a way.
I mean, and that's fair enough. It's a way to defend. We've seen him do it plenty of times at circuits like Hungary, where you really slow yourself down on the apex of the first corner to make sure that they have a shit exit and you've got a good run down the DRS zone into turn 2. It's a fair strategy. It's just I think he's got it a bit wrong this time. So he has 3 penalty points added to his license for that incident. I don't know what he's on total. We're missing document this week. He would have told us. I would have told us if I'd been more prepared, but whoops. We also had another retirement by virtue of Sir Lewis Hamilton, which, listening to the onboard, was, you know when you have engines go and you can kind of limp it home? This was not one of those. You just listen to it and it just went, none, done, see you later. Which was wild. Yes. I think it was in Ted's notebook. He said it was something to do with the oil pressure. The oil pressure got too high. The engine seized, and that was it. Done. Game over. Nice. So I think that could be that power unit gone from his pool already, which is quite a big blow to the season. So I'd expect Lewis to have to take an engine penalty later in the year for a new ICE.
As if the car isn't bad enough.
Oh yeah, true.
Yeah. That was quite funny though, seeing like all the Hamilton fans laughing at Verstappen DNFing.
And then it's 12 laps later,
yeah.
Anything else? I mean, okay, so we've covered Max, Lewis. Who else DNF'd? There was one more, wasn't there? You know what we haven't covered?
George.
Oh yeah, George, that was it. You know what we haven't covered? The Williams saga.
Oh, nice.
So, Alex Albon crashes in FP1, damages the chassis of the car to an extent that it's not repairable within a time frame or on site or whatever the reason was to get him ready for the race on Sunday. So James Vowles takes the decision to withdraw Logan Sargent, and give Logan's chassis to Alex in the hopes that they can grab a point. That's an ouch on Logan's half.
It's brutal, but it is quite cool though, isn't it?
It is. You look at the results, you look at the performance, not just last year, but the start of this year as well, Alex has had the beating of Logan
Yeah.
pretty much in every session. Is it harsh on Logan? Absolutely. He's done nothing wrong, and yet he's the one that's had to sit out. But Formula One doesn't really care about the emotions of the driver in that respect. It's a ruthless business venture. And with Haas only on 1 point at the time, that was a big difference between them. I think they were in 7th and Haas is in 6th. So getting a point on the board would have been huge because that would have jumped them up again. As it stands, Haas finished in the points.
That's so mental.
Yeah.
You can finish 7th once and then jump up to 6th.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's I wouldn't say it's backfired on Williams, but like with Alex not able to hold off either of the Haas cars and then not even getting a point himself, while Haas got a double points finish. So they've picked up 3 more points there.
Yeah,
that's
3 points.
So now they're on 4. They've got a little tiny cushion because that's going to take 2 9th place finishes from Williams to overhaul.
Like we say that when there's easily the top 5 teams marking out all of those spots.
See, that's the thing. They put Alex in because he's normally around the edge of the top 10, and then a couple of DNFs, you could see him bump into it. But this time, the couple of DNFs bumped Hulkenberg and Magnussen in.
Yeah.
And Tsunoda, who's all the way up to 7th after Alonso's penalty. So that's a big haul for RB. 6 points on the board for them. Is that their first points of the season?
No. Yes, it is.
Well, that sees them jump up to 6th.
Yep, 7th place gets 6 points.
So, yeah, there's a very tight battle at the bottom for the wooden spoon, and there's a tighter battle above it for the leaders of the losers, I suppose you could call it at this point.
Yeah. The losers of the leaders.
But then you've got a nice tight battle currently for 4th with Aston Martin and Mercedes. Aston Martin on 25 and Mercedes on 26. Then McLaren are just kind of in no man's land in 3rd.
I'd happily be in no man's land in 3rd.
I mean, yeah, it's a decent result.
As long as we're fighting Ferrari and Red Bull.
Yeah.
And not Mercedes and Aston Martin.
Picking up podiums every now and again. That'd be alright.
Yeah.
Yeah, McLaren are on 55 points. Ferrari are on 93 and Red Bull are on 97. So it's close at the top, but obviously Max DNF'd, so pinch of salt.
For Ferrari to really put a challenge in, they need to do well at Suzuka.
Ferrari needs to have a rock solid car for the season. That was Max's first mechanical DNF for 2 years. Actually, that was Red Bull's. Was it Red Bull's first mechanical DNF for 2 years? I can't remember which one they said. Either way, that's the first time Max has retired for a mechanical DNF for 2 years. Brings to an end his long-running finishing streak, which had been going on for a while. Yeah. It highlights how steady that Red Bull car is in terms of they can beat you by 40 seconds and their engines are fine. Their MG UK is fine, their MGUH is fine, their turbo's fine. You know, they're just there week in, week out, pumping in podiums. But Sergio can't do it this year. Yeah. Should we do the podium, the Perez position predictor results?
Hey, Sergio. Welcome to Red Bull.
So
I Chris Horner now, and I hate him.
nobody
I-
nobody really got anything that correct this time around. I could make an argument for me and Chris getting half a point on the qualifying position by virtue of the fact that we said third and he was third, but then received a 3-place grid penalty. No. So, yeah, nobody got anything actually right. So nobody wins.
We don't know Checo.
It was a bad weekend for Checo predictions. The rest of the weekend, though.
Wow. You say it's a bad weekend. It's quite good, though, because I feel like we enjoy Checo being mediocre more than him actually doing well and be like, oh, shit, so he might actually keep his seat. Oh, no.
This is true. It does create that little bit of drama. Drive to Survive are loving this. Right, Lapdown Showdown. The final result was Zhou Guanyu on lap 37, and he finished 1 lap down.
Whoa.
And my prediction was Zhou Guanyu on lap 37, 1 lap down.
So I went for Bottas. Who did Nia and Chris go for?
Chris went for Ocon, which was actually close because Zhou got lapped in the pits and Ocon got lapped on track very soon afterwards. So had Zhou not pit when he did, it would have been Ocon to be lapped first. No. So that was close. And obviously Nia wasn't there, so she said Max Verstappen. Which in a way, almost happened, which would have been hilarious. And given that she had the lowest lap number as well, she probably would have won.
That would have been so good.
Bold predictions. Ben, you said red flags. You almost got one. Chris said no more than 2 DNFs. You almost got it, buddy. 1 lap too short.
Thank you for making a good race.
Nia said Verstappen to headbutt Perez during the race. It didn't happen. And I said, not a Red Bull 1-2. I've manifested this weekend. That's what's happened.
So we need Chris to make a stupid prediction to make the race. What did he say? 2 DNFs.
No more than 2 DNFs.
Right. So we need Chris to make a prediction to make the race seem quite dull.
Mm.
And
we'll have a banger.
Predictions makes
I just need to manifest the anti-Red Bull.
If anything, we need to make Chris not do bold prediction, just do a prediction.
Right, podiums. Nia got 0 points, unsurprisingly, with a prediction of Stroll on pole and a podium of Gasly, Sargent, and Ocon. Well done, Nia.
Close.
Yeah, it was. Then in joint second is Ben, Chris, and Sonia, who all got 2 points.
Nice.
All for exactly the same thing, which was Verstappen pole and putting Leclerc on the podium, but in third, not second. And I got 4 points for putting Verstappen on pole and Leclerc in second.
Nice.
So the championship standings are Chris is in last still, even after Nia didn't participate this week. Chris is on 9 points. Nia is on 10. Sonia is on 14. I've overtaken Sonia and I'm now on 15. And you are still 8 points clear on 23. The social media predictions. M got 1 point for putting Leclerc on third. And SK got 4 points. No, I've done that wrong. SK got 2 points for putting Verstappen on pole and Sainz in second.
Might just do Lando to win a race now, just to take the piss a little bit.
Which means their little championship battle is M is on 5, and SK is on 4. That's close. Right. Formula 2. Quite an eventful set of... Well, both of the feeder series were quite eventful, actually. Qualifying in Formula 3 was a goddamn mess.
But was it in the practice session as well, where the driver
just swiped across
a little right turn on a straight?
Yeah, he got off very lightly. He got like a 3-place grid penalty for that.
Yeah, you do
That's
that in iRacing, you get banned for life.
Yeah. Nikola Tsolov
in real life.
Yeah,
there's 3 places, mate.
Nikola Tsolov overtook, I think it was Alex Dunn, on the run down to turn 6, and then swiped across him and took him out. Yeah, I'm surprised he wasn't black flagged. In all honesty, it was
if I was so funny,
if I was
you could do that in a video game
and get banned, and you do it in real life and you get away with it. If I was Alex Dunn's team, I would be filing.
Get the lawyers.
Yeah, I'd be putting in a protest against that decision because that was not a strong enough decision. 3 places for that, Jesus. Because that's a point where you're going flat out.
You could say Fernando Alonso got more.
Yeah, exactly. He did get more. Yeah, that was outrageous. Right, we'll run through the F2. Qualifying. Dennis Hauger put it on pole ahead of Kimi Antonelli, who is supposedly linked to this magical Mercedes seat. But I don't know about that yet. And Richard Verschoor was in 3rd. For the sprint race, that was, yeah. Basically, just go and watch some of the highlights of the feeder series races this weekend, because nuts. Great action, complete chaos. Roman Stanek won the sprint race, with Dennis Hauger in 2nd and Kushmaini in 3rd. The feature race, I don't know, that might have been updated since I looked at it. Hang on. I just want to double check this one.
Was a feature when there was like 2 cars crashed within 5 meters?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it was the feature one. Okay, no, it hasn't changed. It's fine. I'm right. The feature race. Isaac Hadjar won the feature race with Paul Aron in 2nd and Zane Maloney in 3rd, which means I've also updated how I'm going to do this bit now. We've got teams in here as well now. In the drivers, Dennis Hauger is in 3rd on 41 points. Paul Aron is in 2nd on 48 points, and Zane Maloney leads the way on 62 points. For the teams, it's very close for 2nd place. Rodin lead the way on 78 points, and MP are in 2nd on 60 points, with Campos tied behind them. So they're just winning on countback there. Formula 3. Leonardo Fornaroli took pole position, with Gabriele Mini in 2nd and Dino Beganovic in 3rd. The sprint race was won by Stenshorn, with Lindblad in 2nd and Van Herpen in 3rd. And the feature race was won by Dino Beganovic, with Fornaroli in 2nd and Mini in 3rd. Now, you thought the championships were close in F2. P3 in the Formula 3 Championship is Gabriele Mini on 32 points. And then in joint 1st, 2nd here, Luke Browning is on 37 points. And Leonardo Fornaroli is also on 37 points. But Fornaroli's best race finish this season was his P2 finish this weekend, whereas Luke Browning has won a race. So he leads the way by virtue of countback. The team's championship, Hightech in 3rd on 47, Trident are in 2nd on 60, and Prema lead the way on 83 points. So, a bit more of a gap in that one. But then again, there's 3 cars for each team in that, so you can get a bit more of a gap. We've got a week off now, haven't we?
Um,
Japan's not this weekend,
Yeah,
is
we
it? It's
do.
the weekend after. I think we're
It's
going
the weekend.
into a phase of sort of one on, one off, one on, one off, aren't we?
But, like,
If memory serves.
so
Japan's the
yeah,
5th,
we're off to Japan. Then it'd be another week off. Then it's China.
then another
Donald
week
Trump's
off.
favorite Grand Prix. Then it is Miami. Then it's another week off to Imola, and then it's to Monaco, and then it's week off Canada, week off Spain, Austria, Silverstone. Then we go to Silverstone.
Wow, okay, so the next time we're joined by any of the feeder series is actually in Miami. And we'll be
Wow,
joined
I
by the
can't
F1
wait.
Academy. Yeah, the F2 and F3 both return at Imola. So we've got a bit of a gap in the action for those boys and girls. Whereas the F1 Academy ladies will be joining us in Miami, which will be good for them because there's a lot of media attention on Miami. So that'll help promote it more after the sort of debacle of last year and not getting any broadcasting rights. That was such a shit show.
Nice.
But yeah, we'll see if the racing quality is any better in those cars than it was on Jeddah, because I feel like Jeddah was just the wrong circuit for it. And I'm going to be honest, I don't have much faith that the Miami circuit's going to be that much better. I think there just might be a couple more incidents maybe because of the curbs, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Any other news?
Yes.
Oh, go on.
We're going full whack
Are we?
because Vettel's going back.
Oh god. He's pulling out his Seb number 5 shirt. Okay,
But
that's cool.
I'll always be Jensen, but Sebastian Vettel had a test for Porsche for it's going to do a race before Le Mans, but it's building up to Le Mans.
Oh, okay. Well, I suppose he's got to get rid of his race rustiness first, doesn't he? You take a couple of years out and you're not going to be quite as sharp as you were. So, put a couple of practice runs in.
So he would do a 36-hour long run at Aragon Circuit in
Aragon,
preparation
that's-
for Le Mans.
Aragon is Spain?
Yeah, it's the MotoGP track,
Okay,
I
yeah.
want to say.
Not that.
And speaking of MotoGP, that's a good segue.
Oh.
Jose Mourinho's waving the flag.
You got to get that little bit of football news in there, haven't you? The special
He's
one.
jobless otherwise, isn't he?
Well, true.
But it's not so special anymore.
He's had his time. What would you do if he suddenly got announced as Liverpool boss?
I'd cry. And watch football again.
Oh, that's a big statement. I'm going to make a few phone calls now.
It's a good one, though. I can't wait.
So, right. I think that about does us for this week. We'll be back.
And Lando's overtook Nick Heifard's record.
Oh, yeah.
of
The unwanted
most podiums
record.
without a win.
Yeah.
There was also a fan who's Australian who shouted at Lando, "When are you going to run a race? Win a race.
Nice.
Win a race. Win a race." And Lando replied by just sticking his middle finger up.
I think that's his general response to that question, isn't it?
Brilliant.
Because it's Aussie banter, and they also know that he's just giving it back. So that's fine. Love that.
Brilliant.
So I also don't think that's the first time he's been asked that question. But
No, it's not.
I think he gets asked it like every time there's an Australian in the crowd.
Probably the best moment for when Lando finally wins a race is just his relief and no one asking him, "When are you going to win a race?"
He gets interviewed as a race winner, and he's like, yeah, so I finally won a race, staring directly into camera. Oh, God. Right. We'll be back next week with our predictions ahead of the Japanese Grand Prix. Another nice early one for us.
Well, it's at 6 a.m, so it's not as bad.
Not quite as bad. Still, it's early enough. The practice sessions will be in the dead of night, so
it's still early enough for me to just watch it when I wake up at like 10.
I'll still be at work. Anyway, yes, we'll be back with our predictions for ahead of the Japanese Grand Prix, and also bring you any major news that happens between now and then. But until then, thank you for listening and or watching, and goodbye.